But isn't it the police that is leading the prosecution for the trial of this boy?
That's why I'm saying that the prosecution of the case has not been open. When you start arraignment in court, the suspect will be brought to court, who nowadays is a defendant, will be brought to court, and is going to take his plea. So that has not happened.
So on Thursday, there was no representation for the police in court?
The court has not opened prosecution into the matter. It's because we want to remind the person in custody to be able to go properly into the investigation of the matter.
So the only
because the offense are capital in nature, and that is why the advice of the DPP was sought in that regard.
So the only legal representation in court on Thursday was for the boy? There was no legal representation for the police?
We were not invited.
You were not invited?
Yes.
Now, because of the circumstances surrounding the case as it has emerged yesterday following that conversation with the boy and his lawyer, one is to ask if the boy was under duress when he presented himself to be 18 years old in his statement, because we've heard that time and again in police cases where statements are given under duress.
When you talk about giving statement under duress, I think the issue of what is your name cannot be under duress, and what is your age cannot be under duress. What is your where do you live cannot be under duress. So those clearly being under duress or not is clearly out of it in stating what is your age and what are your biological history, or possibly what are your social history, and it has to do with the investigation. So what we have in the statement of the boy is 18 years, and it is on the basis of that those press releases emanating from us were issued. And I want to make bold to say clearly that the lawyer, you have to put pen on paper, because it's all lawyer that is saying whatever is saying on the television, which are complete falsehood. If you have any good case against us or against the DPO that you've been calling out, you put pen on paper. When you put pen on paper, so far, this is what you have found out, all your allegations. Then we investigate it. The Nigerian police force and its officers are subject to the public service rule. And the public service rule clearly stated what are misconduct and serious misconduct, which should be investigated before an officer is dealt with in an appropriate way. But when you now mix politics with crime, then it's quite clear that you have an ulterior motive. I won't want to mention any name, because from the beginning of the program, I watch it, is mentioning a presidential candidate. Do you want to tell me that if somebody is prominent with one presidential candidate or the other, or even as a police officer, if I'm prominent with the media, if I do any wrongdoing, I shouldn't be called to answer? You should be called to answer. So when you now turn it, because when the boy was eventually, whatsoever the DPP advice, you've not seen it, when he was asked to go, and the lawyer took him to that presidential candidate first. So the issue of crime is different. The issue of political partisanship is equally different. So you don't mix the two up, because we are not politicians, and we don't engage in politics.